大家好，我是 Jason Wang, 王凯杰。I'm starting my journey through the world of Michelin-starred dining. I've got an appetite for learning about the culture of the countries I'll visit, using delicious foods and flavors to record my travels. Armed with my 5 senses, I want to take a closer look at how masterful chefs prepare the finest cuisine in the world. Come with me. Let's explore what it truly takes to create a Michelin star-worthy meal. My Food Hunter Michelin journey in Austria is coming soon to a close. But before it ends, I'm taking everyone to learn about a rare and unique gourmet ingredient, Snail Caviar. Do you remember the dish that Chef Istvan taught me how to make at his 1-star Michelin restaurant Babel? That dish had snail caviar in it. Those of you friends watching in Asia may not be familiar with this product, but in the past 10 or so years, this ingredient has caught the eye of European Michelin chefs and become a highly sought-after luxury. 50 grams of these eggs will run you more than 5,000 Taiwan dollars. Located on the outskirts of Vienna, the establishment I'm visiting today is the one and only Snail Farm in Austria. Its specialty products? Snails and snail caviar. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Guten Morgen. Hello, I'm Jason.
Hello, I'm Andreas.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And we're here to see all these amazing snails.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
We are trying to reintroduce an old Viennese tradition because historically seen Vienna was the real snail capital worldwide.
Okay.
Yes, and we breed here snails, 3 different species. And this is the Helix aspersa.
Wow. How can you tell them apart, or they're all kind of mixed together?
Yeah, we have 2 fields,
Okay.
And this is the one species, and on the other, the rest.
This is amazing. How long have you been growing snails and farming here?
I read an article about 12 years ago about a famous chef in Vienna and about snails, and then I researched a little bit, and then I decided, okay, in Vienna we have an forgotten tradition about snails, and so we start this project, and now we deliver the best restaurants in the whole country with our snails.
That's fantastic. Quite unexpected. I had no idea that snails had such a long-standing tradition in Viennese culture. According to Andreas, the earliest mentions of snails being consumed in Vienna trace back to the 18th century. In a little bit, Andreas is going to give us more information on that. He has such a hip style sense, you'd probably never guess on first glance that he's a snail farmer. His original profession was in the tech field, working as a project manager at IBM. With his interest piqued by an article about the history of snails in Vienna, Andreas made a midlife career change, jumping headfirst into farming them in 2008. Andreas cultivates 3 species: the big gray, Helix aspersa maxima, the little gray, Helix aspersa mueller, and the burgundy snail, Helix pomatia. The farm can produce about 300,000 snails every year for a total output of 1.5 metric tons. Since 2015, the farm is Austria's only EU-approved business for processing snails. Can you talk to us a little bit about what they're eating? I see you have sunflowers here, I see herbs, and they are eating all of these?
Yes, we have here salads.
Carrots!
We feed them also carrots.
So they're having a very, very healthy
It's a
diet.
paradise for them.
They're eating sunflowers?
Yes, they love sunflowers.
How did you know they love this?
Yeah, because at the first season we have so many sunflowers. When they bite the first leaf, it's gone. Yeah, the sunflower. So we have outside of the field. Yes, we just have here sunflowers, and we start to feed them.
This is 祖母菜, so Swiss chard, and they like to eat Swiss chard?
Yes, and this is the perfect plant because they have big leaves, big shadow spaces, and they grow. So they have much of holes, but they grow again, so it's perfect.
How you figured out what the snails like to eat, and do other snail farmers just feed them all these things too?
We start with no knowledge, so we try every year new plants, and what we see, they love this, they don't like this. It's getting better and better, so we learn from year to year.
They usually are feeding at nighttime or all throughout the day?
Before the sun goes down, because we don't want that the sun burns the feet. So when the sun is down, they wake up. We start with the humidity. There are some sprinkler, and every 3 hours there's a very mild rain at night.
蝸牛原来是夜猫子，因为他们就是晚上出来，而且他们喜欢 wet environment， 所以通常太阳出来的时候，他们都已经都躲走了。And does it affect the flavor of the
Yes,
snail?
of course.
Sure.
Like thyme, so in the last week they get thyme, and they get also the taste from these herbs.
It's really an artisan flavor you're getting. That's amazing. It's all these things that people would eat too.
Yes,
right?
all the best for our snails.
The tradition of eating snails traces all the way back to ancient Rome. And with the expansion of the Roman Empire, the culture of snail consumption spread throughout Europe. The earliest people eating snails collected them from the wild, but as demand increased, Romans devised ways to farm the snails. Europe definitely has a long history of enjoying this unusual delicacy. Andrea says these days you can't collect snails to eat from the wild in Austria due to protections, and also not all wild snails are edible. Additionally, with concerns about bacteria, nowadays all snails for eating are raised through licensed farming. I see you have a bucket here, and what is this? Is this for feeding them as well?
Yes, because they have a berry depth. There's many plants not defined in the nature normally.
Sure.
So they need also calcium for the shell.
Okay.
And so this is additional food. We have some meal, some from wheat, corn, and we mix it with about 30% calcium, and then we feed it like this.
这个是很特别的一个喂料的东西，里头有钙，有 calcium， 因为的蝸牛的壳 they need this， 天然里头的这种青菜都没有不够的 calcium，so it's very important. It's very special. How do they eat it? They just crawl over and they just.
You see here?
Yeah.
She's
eating it.
Yeah.
所以这种配料就放在这边，到时候蝸牛就吃，所以这边的好像是 buffet. Anything you want 都在这边。You have this beautiful farm here, but when you first started, is it difficult to, in general, just to farm snails, or?
Yeah, you have the right climate, environment, so it has to be also rich on calcium. And it's good when you have mild winters, but the rest is very easy because, the normal place where they live is the border of a forest. So they need sun, where plants can grow, but they need also shadow places. They can hide from the sun, and this simulates the border of a forest, so enough sun, but when the sun goes up, they hide here.
How did you develop this system? Did you read this somewhere? This is how you farm it, or
Yes, there are some traditions. The Italian school, the French school, and we make our own system here.
That works for you. Wonderful. And I know that snails, for example, typically there's a lot of bacteria and things like that can happen, and sometimes before you eat them, they have to be purged for. So how do you make sure that, I mean, it's very easy for bacteria and things like that to invade the colony and things like that?
There are no bacteria because they have also the slime. It's very antibacterial. So it's also good for skin and for anti-aging. It works, but you have to cook them 3 hours. Then it's everything.
Is all
it's rich on protein and a wonderful for taste. You can make everything.
Harvest time for the snails takes place during November each year. When the temperature is below 10 Celsius, snails go into hibernation, so harvesting has to take place before the weather gets too cold. In May 2008, Andreas started his farm with the purchase of 20,000 snails. Currently, snail meat can be sold for more than 3,000 Taiwan dollars a kilogram. Andreas's farm not only supplies Michelin-starred restaurants in Austria, but also exports to Germany and the US. In recent years, the farm's top-quality Snail Caviar has gained fame as a luxury star product. People tell me that you caviar or the eggs from the snails as well?
Yes, we have very special things. On the one hand side, we have an indoor production. It's at the moment not in production. There we say to the snail, it's spring. because they make love in spring and they lay eggs. And there we have indoor production. And the other special thing, maybe we are worldwide the only company, we also produce the snail liver.
Snail liver?
Yes.
Okay. And how do people eat the liver? That's very unusual.
Yeah, it's just 1 gram.
Okay.
And at the top end of the shell. So it looks like a small snail because it's the top end and has a very fine liver taste.
Amazing. When they are laying eggs, you said it's in the spring usually?
Yes.
And how often will they lay eggs?
Once a year.
Once a year? Okay.
Maybe a second time if we have a perfect season, but once a year.
So I know snails are hermaphrodites. They just spontaneously produce eggs, or?
No. They need a second snail. Yeah? They have both. They are male and female together. But it's not possible to make it alone. So they need another snail, and this egg takes about 12 hours.
Okay, 12 hours. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more in detail about the mating process for the snails if they're going to produce the snail caviar? Do you need to remove them into a separate location, or, I mean, in China, like the pandas and things like that, they have to separate the males and females, and so I'm just curious, where do they go, or they just do their thing?
It's also a kind of secret.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But we have an indoor production. We don't make the caviar outside. We have an indoor production.
So give them a little privacy.
Yes.
Right?
But it's also a paradise because there's so many snails. They can make love together.
Okay. When you are selecting snails for mating for the egg production, is there a certain size that you need?
Yeah, they should be major, and this is when they have this kind of ring. Then the shell is perfect. It's hard, and they are ready.
成熟的蝸牛就是这边这一条是硬的 ，juvenile 的时候这边旁边都还是软的，所以它们的壳还没有成熟，所以这种的才可以去配种去做 caviar。Andreas shares that on the snail farm, everything is pure and natural. All he does is provide the snails an environment as close to nature as possible, only using some oil and sprinkled salt to prevent the snails from straying outside the borders of the farm. According to Andreas' research, as early as in 1810, recipes devoted specifically to snails appeared in Vienna, with descriptions on how to prepare treats like fried snails, pickled snails, and even sausages made with snail meat. Andreas has used some of these antique recipes as inspiration for modern creations shared with visitors to the farm. The preparations that Chef is working on are some of the farm's signature dishes. This particular dish, can you explain to us what it is and how it's made?
This is the snail liver. It looks like a small snail because it's a top end of the shell. And it has a wonderful liver taste. Very, very good. Also easy to make a white omelette. And have fried sage leaves on top. It's a wonderful thing with a wonderful taste.
And is this a traditional preparation or something new that you came up with to really highlight?
This is new, but to compare escargot and snails with eggs, it's an old Viennese tradition.
And why just the egg white?
Yeah, it's about the color. It's white.
Okay. Sage. Wow. Very unique presentation. So Andreas, we have one preparation here with the liver, and then we have another preparation that's in the oven, and what's in there?
This is the classical way to serve our snails, escargot, and our signature is to have in one plate. It's a limited edition. It's from a very famous Augarten porcelain manufacturer. It's an old Viennese K&K manufacturer, and we have 3 different types of butter inside. This is our signature, to have the classical one with parsley and...
So that's the green one?
It's the green one. Then we have a wonderful with cheese, with parmesano and rosemary.
Oh, delicious.
And then one with onions.
These yummy butter-broiled snails are familiar to me as the French-style escargot à la bourguignon. But I'm really curious about the cooked snail livers. What does an ingredient that costs 1,000 Taiwan dollars for 100 grams taste like? What a treat to be here. We're having a picnic, it seems, of sort.
Close to the farm, a real farm-to-table concept here.
And these 2 delicious dishes we saw being prepared. And which one should we start with?
Yes, we should start with the white omelette, with the leaves. Maybe you start directly with the liver.
Okay, so let me try. It's so creamy. And it has all the flavor of all the different herbs and things in there. It's really nice. 蝸牛干的口感相当的 creamy。因为它已经煮过，是在用橄榄油，然后 butter 里头了不同种的香料 ，the flavor itself 不会有这种腥味或是泥土味的，但是是很清香的一种干的味道。And I think it's quite delicious， 因为这种香料可以把那个干里头的甜度提出来。The flavor is really delicious. The egg white's so fluffy. It's a really nice contrast.
We have also own chicken here, so it's from the own chicken here.
这个蛋是从他们自己的 farm 来的 ，and 配料 the sage and the liver itself, it has a very creamy texture. 很多这种香料的香味都在里头，有一点点的。Texture from the pop from the initial outside of the creaminess of the liver, but it's a really nice balance between the texture of the 蛋的口感，还有 the liver is very creamy. So it's a lovely combination. And why sage, do you think?
Because sage is very good with liver, so it's a good food pairing, in my opinion.
So this thing, sage, typically fried in butter or fried in some oil, but it's typically paired with a lot of meats and things like that. But 尤其是跟干搭配，这种的 sage 的香味是可以提出来 the liver, the sweetness. It's really lovely. Wonderful. Should we try this one? Okay. So you mentioned before there's parsley. This one has Parmesan, and then this one is
with onions.
Okay. That's so delicious.
Thank you.
口感有一点 QQ 的，我觉得亚洲人会很喜欢吃，而且很多蒜、很多香料、很多橄榄油跟 butter 这种的奶香味，还有搭上这种的香料的很香喷喷的这种口感 ，it's really nice. Escargot, it has its own kind of flavor too.
We trying to protect its own taste. So we have not so much garlic. So that the own taste is there. We support it, but it's there.
尤其是他们自己养的这种蝸牛是非常天然的，而且你看他们吃的东西都是最好的东西，他们不用放很多蒜，可以把那个味道盖住，他们就是靠原味。And you can really taste that in this beautiful preparation. So I'm gonna try this one. 意大利的 cheese, the Parmesan, 还有 rosemary 给这个 preparation a completely different flavor profile as well. 因为 cheese 有这种的鲜味，it's very different from the butter and the parsley. 给一种比较像肉的这种 really nice, full, rich taste, and I think it's a really nice balance with a little bit of rosemary. The rosemary is kind of this kind of piney fragrance in there that really lifts up the escargot. This is great, and I'm going to try the onion. 他们的洋葱是煮成有一点 caramelized， 所以一种甜味，配的 escargot meat is a really nice combination, and it has a kind of nice round sweetness and a different flavor from kind of the aromatics in the escargot. But it's 3 different ways to enjoy the same texture, but with 3 different flavor profiles, highlighting kind of the special flavor of the escargot.
That's our concept, to show how you can mix it. It's not just the classical way. There's so many ideas. We have about over 100 different recipes with also with chocolate and chili.
Oh, really?
Snail meat has an earthy, almost nutty taste to it. Most historical cooking methods use boiling or grilling, but in the 19th century, French chef Antonin Carême invented escargot à la bourguignon, broiling the snail meat with garlic, butter, and herbs. This way to cook escargot took off in France. The French now eat more than 30,000 tons of snails each year.
When we think of escargot and snails especially, I think a lot of people in the world think, oh, France. What is the tradition of snails and escargot in Vienna?
Historically seen, Vienna should be the worldwide capital of snail consumption because it was a big tradition here.
Really?
Yes, it was a classic Lenten food. It was forbidden to eat in Lenten time meat, and the monks said snails, frog, and such things is no meat. And this is the Viennese tradition. There was a big snail market. It was also imported over the Danube to Vienna.
So 为什么维也纳会有这种 tradition of eating 蝸牛呢？是跟宗教有关的，因为复活节的时候 40 days before, that period is called Lent. 然后 Lent 不能吃肉类的东西。维也纳的人说，哦，那蝸牛不算是肉吧，所以他们做了很多种不同的 recipe, 不同种的 preparation, 后来就变成一个很经典的维也纳的这种的料理。 Andreas tells me that as the livestock industry developed and meat became more readily available, the Viennese tradition of eating snails gradually disappeared. Andreas is working very hard to reteach everyone the culture of snail eating. He holds 2 to 3 special snail-centered dinners on his farm every month. In addition, he hosts an amazing snail festival twice a year. This event includes invitations for 100 of Vienna's restaurant chefs to design dishes using snails. Michelin 2-starred chef Konstantin, whom we visited before, has also participated in this event. This year's Snail Festival happens to take place 2 days from now. We couldn't have asked for better timing. Andreas invites us to come back to check it out. But just as we're about to go for now, Andreas asks us to wait a minute. He wants to give us a secret peek into a snail production step that's never been shown to the public before. Exciting!
Andreas 现在要给我们看一个很秘密的东西，从来没有别人看过的。And what's the secret of what's inside the box here? Can you show us?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We collected the snails
Wow! Okay.
1 week ago.
Okay.
Now they are clean,
Okay.
and they are ready to produce because they are in a hibernate, so they
Okay.
are in rest. Yeah.
Okay.
So they sleep, and we could store them in this condition for 5 months in a cooling house.
What's the temperature that you keep the...
About 5 degrees.
Okay. They're just chilling out.
Yep.
Literally chilling
You
out.
don't have to feed them; they
Yeah.
are on rest. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also in the nature normally that they have a summer rest and
Okay.
a winter rest.
And these can be shipped to restaurants all throughout the
No,
period of time?
this tradition is gone. No chef has the time to produce it like this. So
yeah.
we make everything for the gastronomy by our own.
Okay.
We have here our production,
Okay.
and we make the snails ready for the gastronomy. So we cook this fresh,
Okay.
and this is a quality. It's far much better than conserved,
Yeah.
because it's just pasteurized, and you have to consume it in 10 days.
Okay.
It's the best quality, fresh cooked, no conserved.
Yes.
Just filled in cold, and you have to consume it in 10 days.
蝸牛已经产收了，在这个盒子里 for about 1 week。这个盒子里的蝸牛是要放在冷藏里头。那为什么要冷藏呢？因为它冷藏温度降下来的时候，它可以保存它的心跳，但是它不是死的，它还在那边，等于是 hibernating sleeping， 这样子可以保存 up to 5个月。这样子吃的时候、煮的时候还是新鲜的、活的，然后煮出来的 quality， 然后 products 够好。So I want to thank you so much on behalf of all of our viewers for letting us come to your beautiful farm and to taste some of the beautiful cuisine here and to learn about more of a really historically important food item that is both luxury and also just very accessible to all the people here. So thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
In Europe, eating snails has always been considered a status symbol since they're expensive due to the labor needed to process the snail meat, from shelling to cleaning and preparing them. Today, I've learned so many new things about snails and about their history in Viennese culture. I'll be coming back to visit Andreas in 2 days, but right now, I want to go try another classic Viennese food on my own.
I think that no matter where you're going to vacation, it's really important to learn a little bit about the local culture and what people like to eat. And what better way to know than some of the small kind of 小吃店. So let's take a look at what's going on here. I see this is a Wurstel, and there are Wurstel stands all over the town in Vienna. And Wurstel is a very common traditional thing that people like to eat. Now personally, hot dogs and sausages aren't my favorite go-to food, but I have to try this here because it's so important to the local culture. So, hello sir, how are you? These are all considered Wurstel?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is we have the stuffed cheese, which is called Käsekreiner.
Käsekreiner. So 这个里头是有cheese 在里头。
And this is the regular one. It's called Bratwurst.
Bratwurst, OK。然后他们用的外面灌肠的也是天然是肠子，所以不是那种化学的东西，加工的东西，他们还是保存的kind of natural process, and I think that's really important. 然后这种的你看是等于是肉打成泥，然后做成好像肉饼子一样，但是这个是切成一片一片。You can have it in a sandwich or you can have it plain, but 你看不同种的口味 ，regular, cheese, spicy, and horse. 没有想到这个里头是有马肉在里头，真的马肉没吃过。Can I try the Leberkäse with the horse meat?
Of course.
Okay, please. 不管到哪里去旅游，总是要尝一点没有吃过的东西，所以我们点一个 horse meat 的这个马肉的吃吃看，到底是我有点 I don't know.
Folks might be more familiar with the German tradition of sausages, but in Austria, sausages are also a very popular classic food. They're usually served with a few slices of hearty bread, so you've got protein and starch for a complete meal. I've ordered the horse meat Leberkäse and also some traditional sausages for €7.40. It's a good deal.
OK， 所以我们来吃吃看，这是最传统的。你看里头还有一块一块的 cheese，and 很香。But I think what's really interesting is 我们通常吃香肠 ，maybe 是有比较甜的这种 flavor， 通常比较欧式的这种香肠就是比较就是偏咸的。And also, if you can see the inside of the texture, 我们是比较习惯可以看到像一块一块的肉或肥肉在里头。他们这边的 tradition 做法就是把那个肉搅成泥，所以你到时候吃下去的 texture is like a very snappy pop from the skin. So I'm gonna dip this in here. And they said this is 芥末是有一点甜度，有 honey 在里头。So, 口感很不一样，因为有一块一块 cheese 在里头，所以咬的时候就变成有一点 creamy， 是有原因。他们为什么要配这个 honey mustard？ 我们是习惯 OK 香肠有一点甜度，这个等于是代替这个糖在里头，所以两个配的有一点甜甜咸咸的 ，It's a great combination. So the next thing I'm gonna try here is the Leberkäse with the horse meat. So I've never had horse meat before, so I don't know what it's gonna taste like, but the color is very, very unique once you take a look at this. So, okay, here we go. Okay, so 口感最相近，我可以想到就是一种蓬松的感觉，好像有点像lunch meat 什么午餐肉这种类似的这种口感，是蛮咸的，很不一样。总是可以说我尝过了 ，so okay.
The assertive flavor of Horst-Pferde Leberkäse won't be for everyone. But if you're an adventurous eater looking for an intense bite, I recommend you try it for yourself. Europe has had long-standing traditions of eating horse meat, but due to changing attitudes, it's eaten less frequently than before, though it can still be found on menus in France, Italy, Germany, and even in Japan. After eating our main meal, it's time for some dessert. How about we keep it under control? I'll just order 3 kinds.
On a trip to Vienna, you absolutely have to try some of the Viennese desserts that they are famous for. I love sitting just at a cafe on the side of the street, just enjoying the street view and the people walking by, but most deliciously, these beautiful desserts that we have here. And this one we have here is the classic Sacher Tort. Sacher Tort is chocolate sponge with some layers of apricot jam and a chocolate glaze. This is one of the most traditional Viennese desserts. All over Vienna, you can find versions of this delicious chocolate cake. So let's take a look here. It's a lovely light chocolate sponge that literally melts into a creamy taste in your mouth. And that little bit of apricot flavor in there, that little bit of tanginess is great with the chocolate glaze on there. So again, I highly recommend the Sacher Tort if you're coming to Vienna. The other dessert I have to share with everyone that is a classic Viennese pastry dessert is the Strudel, so apple strudel, typically always made with apple. But if you ask anyone in Vienna what kind of dessert they'll be wanting to eat, strudel is definitely on the top of their list. So 里头是苹果，但是不是生的苹果，它们是全部是刨过，所以变成软软的。然后到时候这种的 dough is 很特别，它们就是一团面，但是拉成像一个桌布那么大，很薄一层，就是一块面，然后就把苹果的 filling 放在里头。然后一直卷，就变成这种了。And 原来是从 maybe 中东希腊那边的 baklava 的这种概念，后来传到匈牙利，后来传到奥地利的这种，变成传统经典的奥地利的甜点。So let's try the apple strudel. There's something about apple strudel that is both delicious and warm and comforting at the same time. 煮过的苹果有咬劲有嚼劲，但是也是很 tender, very, very juicy. And the spices they use in there is just very warm and inviting. Austrian cuisine has influences drawn from many countries and ethnic groups, and most notably the era of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, when chefs tried to outdo each other with dazzling new cakes and pastry creations. This next confection originated in Hungary, but has since become one of Austria's most classic desserts.
One of the other traditional Viennese desserts is called the Esterhazy slice, or the Esterhazy Tort. And this particular tort is made from layers of almond macaroon with the buttercream in there, sometimes with cognac or vanilla flavoring in there. But it has this traditional kind of, if you take a look, there's this feathering on the top with the chocolate decoration. So that's very traditional of the Esterhazy Tort. So let's take a look in here. And it's covered in almonds and has a very rich nutty flavor. The buttercream 就是给它一种很滑的这种口感，就是坚果的香味 is permeating in this beautiful dessert. So nice firm texture, but also that nuttiness that cuts through with the sweetness of the buttercream. It's a classic dessert, and I can see why.
Each of the 3 desserts I've eaten are classics with more than 100 years of history behind them. I couldn't ask for a more ideal afternoon than basking in the sun, relaxing at a cafe, and enjoying my treats. This is the quintessential European experience. After eating dessert, I'm taking a stroll in the Old Town Center to soak in more of this elegant and sophisticated city.
我们现在就在维也纳的 Stephansplatz, which is named for this beautiful cathedral here, St. Stephen's Cathedral, which is one of the tallest cathedrals in the entire world. 而且现在 Stephansplatz is the 正中间 of all of Vienna. 你可以看这边有很多观光客 There's lots of historical buildings here, so 你如果来维也纳一定要来看 Stephansplatz. 因为我以前是走修音乐，我也有当过音乐家。有一个很特别的地方，我想带大家去看一下。I'm going to take us to somewhere special that we are going to see where one of the famous composers lived here in Vienna. And, in Viennese composition and music history, Franz Schubert was also very well known, but the perhaps most well-known composer that we want to show you today is here, Mozart's house. So Mozart. So a lot of people don't realize he was an Austrian composer. This is actually 他原来在维也纳住的地方，就是这边的第1楼，所以很难得可以看到这栋房子。
Mozart's house is located just behind St. Stephen's Cathedral. Mozart was born in Salzburg, but eventually moved to Vienna in 1781 to seek fame and recognition as a musician. The 10 years he spent in Vienna were his most fruitful period as a composer. At that time, Vienna was the cultural and artistic center of Europe. Here in the old city, you can still get a sense of that atmosphere and grandeur.
One of my favorite parts about walking around in any European city is the fact that there is history literally everywhere you look, and right underneath your feet as well. So the cobblestones that we are walking on right here, and even the architecture, a lot of times in the city center, it remains unchanged from probably hundreds of years ago. So you can imagine just getting that sense of what it was like to live here hundreds of years ago. And I think it's important. A lot of times we just walk through, but to really take in all the architecture and the atmosphere, it just gives you a real sense of this city.
Walking down this quiet side street, I can almost hear Mozart's music in my ear as my walking cadence slows down and I savor the peace and beauty this city brings to me. In Vienna, even a simple stroll can be a luxurious treat. But now it's time for another change of pace. Since festivals celebrating the snail are only held twice a year, it's time to go from elegant, refined Vienna to festive Vienna. Let's go.
We're really fortunate today here in Vienna to be here at the Gugelmuck Hofesh, which is a snail festival celebrating all the delicious foods that you can make with snails. And there's music in the air and I can smell the delicious smells. Lots of people here, so let's go in and take a look. Hello!
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Andreas.
Thanks for having us. So, tell us a little bit about what can we expect here today.
Yeah, this is our pre-party because next week we start with the Snail Festival in all Austria with the best restaurants, and this is our party. And you see, we have over 10 different courses with snails. We make a kind of a pizza.
So celebrating the snail.
Yes.
What is this? Can I see this? This is amazing. Look. Alles gut. Good best wishes, right? Alles gut. And that's you.
He is the artist.
Oh, really? I'm Jason. Nice to meet you.
Jojo.
Oh, and what was the inspiration for this beautiful image here?
Here is the snail king and also the snail, which is a special kind of snail with a shell that's spiraling in the different direction from the usual snail.
It's an amazing image here, and I think very celebratory of the whole occasion. I know you're super busy, so we're gonna just kind of take a look around, but congratulations on a fantastic event. Thank you, nice to meet you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
This boisterous pre-party for the larger festival is so fun and filled with great energy. I have to say that Austrians sure do know how to enjoy life. Although the formal one-week festival involving all the Viennese restaurants kicks off next week, unfortunately today is my last day in Austria. I'm really thankful I've managed to catch today's event.
所以这边有很特别的料理 I see 芒果 Hello Jason
Hello I'm Evan yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what
from
you're...
Vienna I prepare here mango fried in orange butter with spicy escargot
这位爸爸是把 butter 还有芒果还有 orange 还有瓜牛肉全部都做在一起我觉得很特别现在还有草莓 so 这个到底是咸的菜还是甜的菜 Let's try it So why do you put strawberries in there too? How did you come up with this combination? It's very unusual.
This is a beautiful color.
Okay.
Yes? And also when you eat a beautiful taste. Yes?
Thank you, Erwin.
Bon appetit.
Thank you. I'm sure I'll love it. Okay. So let's try this.
You take.
You have the kind of savory richness of the snail meat, but then you have this kind of unexpected fruitiness of the strawberry and that heat from the chili peppers. And it's not a heat that kind of just goes there right on your tongue, but it slowly comes back after. So the mango, the fragrance, the sweetness with the strawberries, I think it's a great combination. Very unusual, but very delicious. Thank you. Would you like to try some?
I love mangoes. I'll try the mango, but he has been eating it since he's a baby.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
The first time we went there, I mean with him, we've been going there as a family for many years. He kept on going.
Oh.
So I said to my husband, give him a little taste, you know? And he just loved it. And I mean, Owen is...
So you've been family friends since a long time?
A very long time.
Oh, wow. Try a little bit.
It's amazing that the tiny, lowly snail can create such a festive autumn occasion for people to gather and celebrate. Andreas sincerely hopes that through events like this festival, people will fall in love again with snails and revive their tradition in Vienna. We're moving to another section of the party where today's highlight is just about to start.
我们现在很难得正好看到老板在这边 He's preparing a very special grilled style snail that we're going to be having in just a little bit. So if you take a look right here, they are setting all the snails up here. And amazing.
Catalanian style, it's a Mediterranean style.
Okay.
They are collected 3 weeks ago, so they're in hibernate, they're in a deep sleep stadium. Now we have a special sword mixed with special herbs and pepper.
Oh, delicious.
So they sleep, we put a little bit of this sword, and then we get some drops of fat on it, and then we grill it like the Roman people for 2,000 years.
Okay, sounds delicious. Thank you. Hello. You can say hi to the camera if you want. Hello. Check it out. This is loads of fun for kids and adults alike. Roasting snails like this is super unique. Everyone is snapping pictures and taking videos. This is so neat, I'm even jockeying with the cameraman to get a perfect shot of the snails. Oops, sorry.
The wood that you're using for the grilling, does it have to be a certain kind or just anything that you have?
No, normally the Roman people said it's from the wine. Yeah, you have to cut the wine in springtime. Yeah, and it's normally in the Mediterranean area to grill, not with this kind of stuff. And so we have this. We make a fire. Then it's the white glue, and then we roast it about 10 minutes.
Okay. 所以原来这个蝸牛是到时候烤的时候烤10分钟就好了。最早的时候是用葡萄藤的木头来做这个，因为是在罗马那时候available 的东西。但是今天我们就是用当地的木本的东西来烤这个。
This grilled snail preparation takes patience and a lot of elbow grease. The snails are dipped one by one into the spiced salt. Then a piece of fatty cured meat is heated until the fat begins to render, and a little bit of that oil is then carefully dripped into each snail shell. The snails are cooked over the burnt-out ashes of the fire, not the open flame, so they don't get scorched. Cooking like this is definitely an art form.
So, Jason.
Oh wow! 我们的蝸牛好了，终于上桌，我们来吃吃看。It's amazing. Oh, vielen Dank, vielen Dank. Oh, okay. Cheers. 看，冒烟滚烫的 ，boiling hot and that's delicious. 不同的香料在里头。而且它有滴特别的油在里头 ，really delicious. And I noticed before you were dripping the fat on it. What kind of fat are you using?
We have an old big. It's called Mangalitza.
Oh, Mangalitza. Making it in Austrian flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Austrian lardo flavor.
Oh, amazing. So we just saw Andreas putting together this beautiful Catalan-style roast snail, and the steps are actually pretty complicated because even though it's a simple preparation, he has to take the fat, and he's using a Mangalitza pork fat. So putting that on each snail with the seasoned salt, and actually that process was about probably 10-15 minutes, individually dripping that fat on the snails. And I think it's really important because, you know, when you're grilling things, you need a little bit of oil, a little bit of fat, just makes that kind of perfume really come out. During the cooking process, you probably also noticed that Andreas was moving this tray of snails up and down, and that's to control the heat. Now, if it's too hot, then it's going to cook too fast and get too tough, but he really wants all that beautiful fat and the spices in there to really permeate into the snails. And after tasting it, 等于是最 pure 的这种原味。其他的有一些蝸牛的料理是蝸牛是先拿出来，然后到时候先煮过不同的 things. But this is the most pure flavor that you're getting from the snail, and it's delicious.
The tradition of Viennese snails is definitely being brought back to life in full force. I truly admire Andreas's ambition and perseverance. Learning how to raise snails, researching their history in Viennese culture, and creating this fantastic snail festival. His 12 years of efforts to champion the snail have turned this festival into the most anticipated eating event of the autumn season in Vienna. This marks the end of my food hunter Michelin journey in Austria. During my visit, I enjoyed delights from 3 Michelin-starred restaurants whose chefs each showed their own distinctive, creatively unique styles. Don't forget, I also visited the amazing Austrian Caviar farm. I found the Austrian people to have an elegant, refined appreciation for the good things in life, with the influences of their treasure trove of history and culture richly rooted in their daily lives. Well, it looks like my time in Austria has come to an end, but I'm on to the third and next stop in our journey, the Czech Republic. And how am I getting there? Well, I've decided to take the train because the train is a wonderful, easy way to get between a lot of countries in Europe. Clean, fast, efficient, and I'm gonna get there real quick. So my train's at 3 o'clock. Looking at here, my ticket. Ticket price 差不多台币 is 1400块左右, so very inexpensive but a fast, easy way to get there. 3 o'clock, my train, I gotta catch it. I'll see you guys in the next stop in Czech Republic. Bye-bye.
My train ride from Vienna, Austria to Prague in the Czech Republic is about a 4-hour journey. Once I get there, I'm planning to visit 4 of the city's Michelin restaurants whose concepts range from Asian focus to modern European and Asian fusion cuisine. I can't wait to see you all there.